Okay, let's finally go back and put in our SK label nodes for the text that we wiped out from the very beginning of this course. And what we could do to make this a little bit more interesting later on is make some sort of score label or something like that, any sort of text to get a little bit of feedback. But let's go ahead and take this all out of here. And what we'll do is move this down to the setup scene. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to put these the text inside of the actual My World label. It's not necessary, but you know, it's just something that you could do. So we'll put in here SKNode. We'll change things around a little bit. We'll actually make a node that contains both text boxes. Again, just to make things a little bit more interesting. So instruction node equals SKNode. So we're basically just kind of making a your most bare bones object here. Instruction node dot name, and I'm going to give this a name of, can you guess? Instructions. All right, and now we'll take that. We'll put it inside of My World. So we're going to put My World add child instruction node, and then if you wanted to put this at someplace other than 0, 0, which is where it would be by default, you can do that. Let's put in here CG point make. Let's try this at 0 for right now, and then what we can do is just shift around the text inside of the instruction node. All right, so then our next one will be SK label node. Let's say, I'll call it label 1 equals SK label node with font named. And I actually kind of like this default one, chalk duster, for this. All right, now label 1.text is going to equal swipe to move and rotate to stop. That's all we need for that one. Let's come down here, write label 1 dot font size equals 22. Label 1 dot z position equals, oh, it doesn't really matter, does it? But you can put in here your z position, and certainly, now that I think about it, if you're inside of the instruction node, that's really the z position that would matter most. So let's take that off of there. So it's me on autopilot typing code here. So we'll put that above anything else inside of My World. And then label 1 dot position equals CG point make. And we'll leave the X at 0 and just bump this up a little bit on the Y. So let's go up to like 50 on the Y. And then finally, let's take everything I've already got, copy it down here. Let's put this one at -50 and just replace all the 1s with 2s. And then we'll just put in here double or triple tap. Oh, come to think of it, that sort of implies you're doing multiple taps. It's touch with 2 or 3 fingers to swap leaders. And this probably looks better with capitals, doesn't it? Okay, and finally we do need to actually add both of these, so we can put it over here. Instruction node add child label 1 instruction node add child label 2, and of course the instruction node's already been added to the scene, and now we're ready to go. But you know what? One last little thing we might want to do is we haven't really tested too much on the iPhone, and I have a feeling that some of these lines could be a bit long for the iPhone, at least at those particular sizes. So if you remember, we did have somewhere in here a little if def or let's see if I can find it, idiom. There it is. It says if UI user interface idiom blah, 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 equals phone. All right, let's just copy this and paste it over here. So what you could do is shift around these sizes based on if you're on the iPhone or not. So maybe let's try. And also too, you could just scale the entire node down as well. That's maybe, I don't know if that's a better option or not. But let's give it a shot. And of course, what we're going to have to do later is remove our instructions. Unless you want to just be cool and leave them on the stage and walk around them. Don't think you want to do that, though. And yeah, and well, while this is building, taking its time, we'll go back and run this on the iPhone simulator as well. Hopefully what you'll find, though, is that everything that we've programmed so far has been quite safe for every device or the other devices. And by the way, your regular standard definition iPad version is what's going to show up on the iPad mini. At least until the iPad mini supports multiple displays. Alright, so there we go. We've got, see what I mean? It does look kind of cool to be able to like walk over the instructions. Sort of meta, you know. But I actually hadn't tried that yet, so that is kind of funny looking. Alright, so there they are, and now what you can do is go over to your setup characters statement and write my world. Well, here, try this first. Just put in my world, child node with name, and then instructions. And then once you've found that, we're going to encapsulate this part into their own brackets and remove from parent. And that would get rid of it. Let's go check this out on the how about the iPhone 4-inch 64-bit. Oh, that's interesting. We'll have to look into that. Warnings are pretty safe to to ignore, though. So they're not the end of the world. All right, so here we go. He's walking around. Oh, and we've already I wasted too much time. We've already lost our text, haven't we? Look at these little dudes cruise around here, though. Let's scale this down just a little bit more. Doink. So of course all of our collisions and everything like that still work. No problems there. Oh, he's dead. Blob is in control now. All right, let's run that one more time and just make sure that. Okay, yeah, so you do see the text there for a little bit, and then as soon as the character shows up, it goes away. That could be a little bit smoother. We could write in a an SK action so it fades out, and then that'll give us an opportunity to leave in that the ability to walk over the instructions. I do think that's kind of fun, so let's try that. first let's just change this to change this part to int value and see if that resolves our issue. Okay, that's encouraging. You know, it's funny, I kind of thought that was int value, but when I began typing it just gave me integer value. So let's see, for some reason this one doesn't want to go away. Particles to emit. Yeah, it's an int. Let's just run it real quick. Okay, well now there's no issues. All right, so back over here in our level class, let's find where we previously wrote our code. All right, there it is, and simulator is still running. Let me just bump into a wall to make sure we didn't lose anything. All right, good. So what we can do is peel this out of here and replace it with a method call. So what we'll do is in some sense create a little bit of a convenience method here. We'll call it fade to death, right? And we are going to ask for one parameter. That'll be an SKNode, and we'll just call it node once it gets passed in. And now right here we'll say self fade to death, and then we'll pass in this value. So just that part of it. And do your semicolon. There we go. All right, so we can use this method with anything, really. SK action, not just text. Fade is going to equal SK action fade to fade alpha 2. All right, and your range here is 0 to 1, which is nice. Duration, let's just make it go over 10 seconds, so you get 10 seconds to kind of walk around there. SK action remove. This is going to be a call to a perform selector, so SK action perform selector, and then we put in here our selector name. And check this out, this is pretty interesting. You can use obviously your own selectors, your own methods, or you can call one of the predefined ones from Sprite Kit for you. So you can just write in here remove from parent. All right, and you can see that's already declared over here. And then for the target, you'll just put not self, node, and that will do that. And then we'll have our SK action sequence. We'll call this sequence. This will equal SK action sequence, and it's looking for that array, but the first thing it really wants is that @ symbol, and then us to fill in the objects afterwards. And of course our objects here are going to be that we want to first fade, and then second we want to remove. And then all we need to do is just write node run action sequence. And to test this out, let's set the number down to test out that's actually deleting the object. Let's set this to so not 5, 0.5, so it's at 50%. So we'll see this fade to 50% over 10 seconds, and then it will, and then we just should see it suddenly disappear. And I believe it is fading until finally it should pop away. All right, so just the fact that it popped away like that implies that it did actually get removed from the parent. And we'll set that back down to 0, and we'll have everything set up for us. All right, so look at that. Get to walk all the way around it, and then it'll just subtly go away over time. Cool, huh? And writing your own little convenience methods like that's it's a great idea. You just pass in whatever you want affected, and yeah, that's all you do. In fact, you know what? We could, come to think of it, write another one for whenever you receive damage, just to pulse the character red. And we did that. I did that in the intro to Sprite Kit tutorial that I taught. So yeah, let's come back and do that real fast.